This is your hillbilly historian coming to you from East Tennessee, the Appalachian Hills of the mountainous regions of North America. I want to today talk about the Bush Clan. The Bush Clan is one of the most corrupt families in American history. Right up there with the Clintons, the Bidens, the McCains, and other evil people I will talk about in the future. But the Bush Clan is one of the worst, causing many deaths of Americans to enrich themselves and to pocket large amounts of oil money right out of the Middle East. But anyway, we'll start with Prescott Bush, who was the father of Herbert Bush and the grandfather of W. Bush. Now, Prescott was the head of a big bank in New York City when World War II broke out. Germany declared war on the United States after Japan attacked us, and we returned the favor. We declared war back on him. Now, that made it illegal to do business with Germany and the Nazis, but that didn't hinder Prescott Bush's corruption not one bit. He did extensive business with the Nazis and with the country they controlled, Germany, to his benefit, while we were at war with them and our soldiers dying from the acts of their soldiers and vice versa. In fact, J. Edgar Hoover indicted the son of a gun and intended to prosecute and put his butt in prison where it belonged. But socialist, Marxist Franklin Delano Roosevelt stepped in and protected Prescott Bush and kept him out of jail. And then Herbert was one of the lyingest men. He did a couple of good things for this country. Told the biggest lie in history. Read my lips. No new taxes. And he gave us the largest tax increase in the history of America up to that time. The biggest lie in history. He said he was not in Dallas the day JFK was assassinated and murdered by the deep state and the CIA and the mob. There's a photo of him standing on the steps of the school book depository all by himself. There were people around, but he was not standing with anybody. A clear picture of Herbert Bush standing there while right after the assassination. And he always swore he was not in Dallas that day. He always swore, in fact, he swore under oath when being certified to be head of the CIA under the advice and consent regulations that he had never been a member of the CIA. And there's a document from about the time of the JFK assassination that came out of the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover's office, and it named a CIA agent Herbert Bush, George Herbert Bush. And Bush always said, well, that was somebody else. There's another George Herbert Bush out there somewhere. That was him, not me. Lying little lowlife. But anyway, he when he ran for president in 1988 with that big lie of his, read my lips, no new taxes, they showed a film of him being rescued in the Pacific. He was a pilot of an Avenger torpedo bomber. That was a slow plane. Had a crew of 3, had the pilot, had a top rear gunner, had a lower rear gunner, and both those gunners were trained in radio operation, so if they were not manning their guns, they could operate the radio, which the lower gunner usually was the main one responsible for that, was a crew of 3. But that film of that submarine rescuing Herbert Bush from the Pacific Ocean did not show them rescuing his crew. He went down. Questions arose. What happened to your 2 crew members? He never responded. I had an uncle that was a tail gunner on one of those Avenger torpedo bombers during World War II, flew in out of Peleliu in Guam, and he always questioned what happened to Herbert's crew. I think later the White House tried to put out a response to quell those questions, but it was weak, timid, and probably a bald-faced lie. I'd say that the man jumped, protect himself, to hell with the crew, get out of Dodge. And he flew a plane for the CIA during the Bay of Pigs invasion. He was supposed to be one of the pilots who helped those Cubans take Cuba back from Fidel Castro, and he flew a plane and he named it Barbara. He named all his planes Barbara. Barbara 1, Barbara 2, Barbara 3, and that was after his wife. But anyway, he put together a pretty good coalition that kicked Saddam Hussein out of Kuwait when Saddam invaded Kuwait and was probably going to invade Saudi Arabia, but the United States came in there with 500,000 men and tanks and artillery and everything, and put a stop to that, and then bombed the heck out of Saddam for about a month, and then the military just kicked his butt right out of Kuwait, and Kuwait rewarded Herbert Bush with a lot of oil money. They took care of the Bush clan after that. And then along came W. Now W lied to the American people. Had Cheney lied to us. Powell lied to us. Poor old Condoleezza Rice went along and lied to us about weapons of mass destruction. Because 5 years after Herbert kicked Saddam out of Kuwait, Kuwait was going to hold a celebration, a 5th anniversary, a lustrum after the event, and was going to celebrate, and they had Herbert Bush come over and be part of the celebration. Saddam sent 4 hitmen to take old Herbert out, kill him, and they were all 4 caught. And in Arab tradition, they were tortured until they talked, and then they got a bullet in the back of the head. And W never forgot. So when the Twin Towers were attacked, 2001, he used that as an excuse. Now, the towers were attacked by Saudi Arabia, but the Saudi Arabians, along with Kuwait, had bought off the Bush clan, and they were benefiting financially from that association. So, W decided to make this false claim about weapons of mass destruction and how Saddam was behind the 9/11 attack and how he had chemical weapons, nuclear weapons, and every kind of weapon of mass destruction you could think of, and invaded Iraq, and American lives were lost. But Saddam was caught, and old W and his friends there in Iraq that they'd taken over and placed certain people in power. They held the dumbest show trials since Hitler's show trials and Stalin's show trials back in the 30s. It was the dumbest show trial in the world to convict. Now, there were defense attorneys that were assassinated, a judge was assassinated. Clark flew over there to help defend Saddam. He got the hell out of Dodge. He said, it's too dangerous. I don't want to die over here. Saddam ended up defending himself. Didn't do a bad job, but the verdict was already in. They found him guilty and sentenced him to hang. And that way, W got revenge for him sending hitmen to kill his daddy. Things like that happen when people are real powerful. And but anyway, a lot of American boys had to die. And then that idiot W and Cheney and Powell, talk about arrogance, they invade Afghanistan. Amazing. Amazing. Alexander the Great couldn't conquer them people. In fact, he died there. The British Empire at their power could not conquer them people. The Russian Empire wasn't all that strong in 1980, but they gave it a shot. And the Russian Empire, as big as it was, could not conquer them people. And the arrogance of W, Cheney, Powell, and all them idiots in D.C. cost God knows how many lives. American boys had to die over there, be crippled for life. For nothing. For nothing. They had the arrogance that they thought they could subdue the Afghan people. And a lot of American boys had to die, and some women, over that foolish notion and arrogance that we could conquer the Afghan people. And Bush, talk about traitorous. When Trump, of course I had an uncle that always, he was a Democrat. He grew up during the Depression, and he was a Democrat. He said the only good thing Donald Trump ever did for this country was he made Democrat voters out of the entire Bush clan. And sure enough, they were traitors. They did not support the Republican nominee, Donald Trump. They voted for his opponent, Hillary Clinton. I say Hillary because she's allegedly had something like 34, 35 people killed who were close to her, knew too much. She was afraid they would tell the truth about her, but hey, truth don't bother anybody anymore. Truth doesn't have a whole lot to do with anything anymore. But anyway, the Bush clan was a corrupt, traitorous clan, traitors to America, traitors to their party, caused the deaths of a lot of Americans over arrogant foolishness, but they pocket a lot of cash from the Saudis who attacked America. Saudis attacked America on 9/11, and Bush protected them and blamed it all on Saddam Hussein. Ridiculous lies, lies, lies. But that's what we get when we let these car salesmen become president of the United States, hold power, positions of power. It's all about pocketing money, telling any lie, being any kind of big traitor they can be. John McCain was the same way. His daddy was the same. Clinton's, you just can't find people any more corrupt and evil and unethical and immoral as the Clinton clan. And these kind of people, the Bush clan. Americans need to wake up and quit electing trash, gutter trash, for their presidents and secretaries of state and all this kind of stuff, where all they do is pocket money for themselves. make themselves rich, and they don't care how many Americans have to die for it or anything. They don't care how many lies they have to tell, and that's what we have to put up with. But anyway, this is your Appalachian Hillbilly Historian coming to you from East Tennessee with the truth about the American Bush family.